In this video, we're going to talk about Windows Server release channels. My name is Amy Holcomb, and I'm a Senior PFE with Microsoft.
And I'm Michael Godfrey. I'm a PFE at Microsoft as well. So, Amy, let's talk about release channels.
So what do we call Windows Server? We simply call it Windows Server. And we have multiple different versions of Windows Server, and they're in two different release channels. We have the long-term servicing channel and the semi-annual channel, and we're going to talk about those in detail. Long-term. This is what you're used to. This is the infrastructure roles, everything that you're used to, where you need consistency. And the semi-annual channel, this is where you need agility.
So, Amy, what you're saying here is when you're building your servers, you need to think about it in two different paths. If I'm building my traditional domain controller, my file server, my Hyper-V host, or something that supports a third-party application, I need to go with long-term servicing channel.
That's correct.
Right. And then if I'm developing cloud-first applications I want to host either in the public cloud or privately on my own cloud at my on-premises data center, that's where I need to go to semi-annual channel.
Yes.
Because I need newer features quicker.
That's right. That's right. Because as you know, we release features. In the past, it's been every 2 to 3 years. And our customers are always saying, we need these features. When can you release it? Can you add it now? And they really have to wait. But now with the semi-annual channel, when you request those features with the 6-month release, we can get those out faster for you. So when we talk about long-term servicing, we use that for infrastructure roles. We use that for things like domain controllers and
Hyper-V host and your third-party applications, your remote desktop terminal servers, your Exchange servers themselves.
And when we talk about semi-annual channel, we're talking about the new innovations. You've probably heard Windows containers, and that's something that we're going to be talking about. But these are fast-moving applications. They need the new features quickly, and so semi-annual channel is great for that.
Right, so the semi-annual channel side is going to have access to features that kind of revolve around containers. Semi-annual channel is definitely geared towards containers themselves. And so it's going to be container features and then features that revolve around containers themselves, being the infrastructure host for this containers in the first place, right? And so you're going to see software-defined networking and software-defined storage features come as an infrastructure role for that containerized host. And then you're going to see container features like access to SMB shares or other features like that introduced into the semi-annual channel.
And so what is the cadence for the long-term servicing channel? It is every 2 to 3 years, and it is 5 years of mainstream support and 5 years of extended support, which is what you've been used to, which means it'll essentially be around for 10 years. It's available through all channels, and it has both the Windows Server with desktop experience and Windows Server Core.
Keep in mind, with long-term servicing channel, Windows Server Core is the ideal experience to deploy. And we're going to talk about some new ways to interact with Windows Server Core, but your long-term servicing channel that is available to you, and it's been available to you since the beginning, 2008, 2008 R2, 12, 12 R2, 16 and 19, and the next release of long-term servicing channel are all going to remain very similar in their feature updates. But Server Core is the ideal deployment for long-term servicing channel.
Yes. So the semi-annual channel release, that's released every 6 months. So you're going to see a new release, usually in the fall and in the spring. And each release is going to be supported for 18 months. It also requires a software assurance benefit. And it's available in Windows Server Core. And for containers, it's available in Nano Server.
So when you're posting on the Windows Server user voice and you're saying, I want these new features faster, the Microsoft developers can actually develop these and get them out to you faster through the semi-annual channel release. And so that's why you're going to see every 6 months a new release. Again, like Amy said, keep in mind that these are only supported for 18 months. So the 1709 release actually is out of support as of 1903, right? And so that's really important. as you're developing containers, you're probably going to either do an in-place upgrade to the next SAC release, or more than likely, you're going to redeploy that application. And we'll get into that when we talk about containers and container OSs.
And let's bring this back to an infrastructure role. Let's think about a domain controller. You could actually put a domain controller on SemiAnnual Channel, but if you did that, you would need to upgrade that domain controller every 6 to 12 months.
Right, which wouldn't be an ideal scenario. You'll also notice that in the SAC release, there will be missing infrastructure features that may be in the long-term servicing channel. Most importantly, Storage Spaces Direct. Storage Spaces Direct did not make it into 1709, and it actually subsequently was not included in 1803 or even 1809. Yeah. That is because that is not a feature meant for an infrastructure role. So you will not find a container host utilizing Storage Spaces Direct.
Right.
So it's not included.
You know, we have this for maximum flexibility, and on this screen you can actually see, you know, how the two relate to each other. So the next release will be 20-something. The version will be 20-something. And if you look at Windows Server 2019, it has the release number of Windows Server version 1809 in the semi-annual. And Windows Server 2016 would be 1609. However, keep in mind that the SemiAnnual channel actually started with version 1709.
So a lot of the features that you may be asking what's going to be happening in the next version of Windows Server, we call it vNext. You're actually seeing a preview of those features in the semi-annual channel releases. So when I was talking to customers about what's new in Server 2019, we actually had an easy way of looking at it. We honestly just looked at what was in Windows Server 1709, 1803, and 1809. And all those features, plus some more infrastructure features, are included in Windows Server 2019. So you can see all those things come eventually to the LTSC in that stable release. But every 6 months they're developed quicker and faster because they are going through a QA process as part of that.
And so, just to summarize, release of new features. All new features introduced in the following releases are included with Windows Server 2019, for example. So Windows Server version 1709 and 1803 and 1809 are all in Windows Server 2019. Now, one thing to keep in mind, Windows Server version 1809, because it's semi-annual channel and because it is focused on things like Windows containers, as was mentioned, it may not contain all of the feature set that's in the long-term servicing channel.
The other quick thing we didn't cover is the versioning number. You may be asking, what are these codes? These codes are simply the year and the release month for those. So Windows Server 1709 was released in the fall or September of 2017.
And so how do we do servicing for this? And there has been an important change with Windows Server 2019, and that is that there will be only one quality update for Windows Server. We're no longer going to have the full, Delta, and Express. We're actually combining those into one. This is going to make it a lot simpler to manage.
Right, so as an SCCM administrator or a Windows Update administrator or your third-party update tools that you're going to do, you're going to push one monthly update that's going to contain the full, the Delta, and the Express, instead of having to know that I needed to push the Delta, cumulative, and the full. The operating system is going to be able to tell which one it needs to apply. And this is different from 2016 when we introduced the monthly roll-ups that continually grew in size as time went by. This makes that process much smoother and much less network traffic having to go across your local area networks.
That wraps up Windows Server release channels.